Can also send you an email copy. There's some good links in here with information if you want to reference things after the webinar is over. But yeah, so social media, we're all a parent, and we all know that it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing as time passes. It used to just be Facebook, and before that, it used to be MySpace. But now there are a handful of apps growing every day that keep coming out, that keep capturing a larger and larger audience. Through this webinar, we're going to understand social media at a level for a business owner. We're going to learn how to use social media as a business owner. And then towards the tail end of this, we'll learn how you can implement these strategies and these understandings to grow your business. Just some few key points of content that we'll be touching on. First off, will be understanding. Second, we'll learn how to set clear goals and objectives when building a campaign. We're going to next learn how to optimize your social media presence. We're going to then understand how to craft an effective social media strategy. And then we're going to learn how to create engaging content. Following, we'll be learning how to build and engage your community as you grow one. And then lastly, we'll learn how to analyze and optimize your social media efforts. As I alluded to earlier, social media has really revolutionized the way businesses connect with each other and with their target customers. It's an unparalleled, there's nothing really out there that lets you really connect with your target customers as well as social media does. You're able to reach out to them, have push notifications, you're really able to engage with the customers that you have. Just some quick notes for you, some data. Over 223 million people in the US use social media. 87% of consumers in the US are using online channels, including social media, to research local businesses, including home service providers, which I know we primarily work with here at Growth Marketing Media. 58% of US consumers have contacted a business through social media accounts, and 76% of consumers are more likely to choose a business or home service provider based on online reviews, how people in the community are receiving them. So just there right off the bat, we can see that social media is a really powerful tool, and a lot of business owners aren't confident enough to really go out there and try this. A lot of business owners that I've talked to and some of the clients I'm working with, they feel that at times it can be a little bit overwhelming because they feel that they have to go out there and get a designer, they have to hire someone specifically to do social media, and that just isn't the case, and we'll find out more about that later. The first step in creating an effective social media campaign is to set yourself some really clear goals and objectives. First, we want to identify your overarching business objectives. As an example, let's say you're a roofer, you want to be on social media to reach people that need roof repairs, new roofing, re-roofing, repairs, even to commercial business owners also. So you want to think to yourself, what am I really going to try to accomplish with a social media campaign? Once you have that set up, you want to make sure that you set specific and measurable goals. Be that, I want to increase my leads by X% through the social media campaign. I want to get 20 plus likes on this social media post. I want to gain X amount of followers. Those clear objectives that are easily measurable within these apps can really set you forth on a great path of understanding if your campaign is set up correctly, and if you're hitting those objectives, you know that you're on the right path. Next, we want to identify key performance indicators, or KPIs, that most of us know to really track your progress. That would be when, let's say, you have your social media campaign going, you get a call in for a new job, go ahead and ask them, be like, hey, how'd you hear about us? That's always a great way of really knowing what part of your marketing is really benefiting and turning a profit and a turnover for you. So a good thing we like to do on the client side is we have our clients ask, like, hey, where did you hear about us? Where did you find us? Google? Did you see us in an ad? Did you see us on social media? That way you can kind of see, oh, this is where this funnel is attracting consumers and customers. Next, you want to create a timeline and an action plan for your social media. presence in your campaign. It's best to really start out at a basic level. You don't want to overcomplicate things for yourselves. Just like anything, if you hop head first and into this, it can get a little complicated, but the main step is just take it easy at the beginning, really figure out what's going to work for you. What time do you have to set aside? Is there someone maybe in your business or on one of your teams that has some extra workload that they could do this with? But most important thing here when setting clear goals and objectives is understand the type of person that you're trying to meet and how your business is going to reach them. Set some goals to make sure that you can reach them. Identify how you're going to measure if this campaign is being successful. And also, most importantly, create a plan, create a timeline for yourself. Start mulling around ideas. Like, this is the type of post that I think my consumers and customers would find super engaging. Would that be a sale? Would that just be, hey, we'd want to hear how you think about this specific service? Before I move on to the next section, does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Sounds good. I'll keep moving on, everybody. So in this section, I want to talk a little bit about how to optimize your social media presence. A lot of times, and things that I notice when I'm working with clients is a lot of businesses, they either have no social media accounts and they're not on there yet, or they do and they don't look the best. They're inconsistent on branding and when they post content, and a lot of the times that can do more harm than good. Just like a website, you want to be proud of it because a lot of people are going to be seeing it, so you want to make sure that it reflects your business as a whole, and your branding. So the first step in that is to create a compelling profile. That means a high quality image of your logo as your profile picture. On Facebook, you'll have a banner image, so make sure that that reflects something along the lines of your business and is coinciding with what your customers would assume when they go to your Facebook page. Another thing that you can do really well is create a really engaging bio or kind of caption section. On Instagram, it's going to be right below your profile picture up here. Facebook, depending on if you're looking on it on a phone or a desktop, look a little bit different, but make sure you always have that filled out to the best of your ability, offering information right on the start so that potential customers or clients can understand what your business is and kind of what this page or account is going to offer. The next step in optimizing your social media presence is going to be keeping your branding consistent. I'll share examples of this later in the presentation of some really great business Facebook and Instagram accounts, so you can kind of see what that consistent branding is. But for the most part, make sure that most of your posts include your brand colors, fonts if applicable, but probably not, your logo, visual content, and voice, so kind of how you're conveying information. You don't want to have a super impersonal post. Like, as an example, if you're running a sale, be like, we've got the greatest sale of all sales going on, please come check us out. And then the next post would be a super professional, like, we are running X sale from July 1st to July 31st. Here are the parameters. You want to make sure that you're kind of consistent with how you're speaking to your audience. I'll also show examples of that later on, so if you need a better idea of that, I can visualize it for you. The next step is going to be creating an engaging content strategy. I've found the best way to do this is, if you're on social media, go ahead and see if there's any businesses that you already follow or brands that you follow and kind of see what they do that you really like and you think that could parallel over to your business. Just like most marketing strategies, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to see how people are already how businesses are already reaching customers and how we can kind of take some of their expertise and use it in our own sense. Something that we've seen do really well are before and after pictures. We have a client that does deck resurfacing, and it's night and day the difference between before they show up and resurface the deck and after. And though that type of content really helps a customer visualize the value that those dock resurfacing and those deck resurfaces really bring to their property. Another thing that you can do are just little videos of kind of behind the scenes of how your business is working, going on to a job site. Like, for example, if you were a roofing company, having a video of the job site you're working on, be like, hey, we're here in Fort Collins today working on this roof. Really excited to get going. We're using this type of shingle. We hope it turns out really great. Send us a direct message or comment if your roof needs repairs or a re-roof. Something like that. Something, because a lot of businesses, what they do is they go out and they'll post something that is just kind of like a picture of a roof, not too much explanation underneath it. I mean, it's good you're getting that content out there, but at the same time, you could, for just a little bit more effort, go out of your way and try to find a way to engage with the people that are going to see it. And that can be difficult at the start. It's another thing. You want to start off simple, because if you just first jump into this, you might get a little bit overwhelmed. Be how much time and effort do I put into creating this engaging content? I don't even know what engaging content is, and I'll show you a little bit later on. But step by step, again, just look at brands and businesses that you already follow on there. If you have a social media account, kind of see what they are posting that people are engaging with, and see how many likes and comments they're getting, and so on and so forth. The next step in optimizing your campaign and your presence is going to be engaging with your audience. That's one of the biggest things that you can do in any social media profile, even if it's not a business, even if it's just your personal. If people are commenting or following you, follow them back, comment back. If you're getting questions, reach back out. The way these social media algorithms work is if the algorithm sees that you're constantly engaging with your audience, it's going to promote your posts more often to a wider audience. So that can be twofold. I mean, just like if you were to have someone call in and need a quote for a job, or they want a consultation or anything like that, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to have a meaningful conversation with them. It's a little bit different on social media because it's not over the phone, but you can also engage with them and convey more information about your business in the comment section or in the direct messaging system. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions that I can answer? I know this is a little bit beefier of a section. Sounds good. I'll keep going forward then. So our next step here is how to craft an effective social media strategy. And we alluded to this in our first section about understanding social media, but let's go a little bit more in depth here. We really want to identify your target customer, where they are, who they are, what kind of pain points they have. And if you've been in business for a while, you're going to have a good understanding of who that person is. And think to yourself, what type of content would that person engage with? What type of communication can I display over social media that would make that potential customer want to interact? Going off of that, create a plan for when you're going to post and how often you're going to post. A lot of times, depending on if you're a home service provider, around lunchtime when people are on their lunch breaks and checking their phone, in the morning before people get to work, or right after when people get off work, or on Saturdays and Sundays. So try to just be a little strategic of when you're posting content, just to give you an extra advantage when it comes to reaching potential customers and clients. Already talked about this, but just to really nail it in there, the importance of it, engaging and interacting with your audience on social media. A few examples of what things that I found super effective is creating Facebook groups for a niche that your business serves. So as an example, I'll pivot back to roofing. There are a few roofing groups in northern Colorado that are all about roofing and people that have roof damage. and they don't really know if it's worth calling out someone to give them an estimate or inspect it. Creating those groups and joining those groups, posting content in there, engaging in there is just another way that you can really increase your business's awareness on social media. The next step that I think is also super important is staying up to date on kind of the features of the social media platforms. Is there a new way you can upload videos on Instagram? Is there a new live session that you can host on Facebook? You don't have to take action steps on all of these, but it's good to know what is in the pipeline for these apps and these social media platforms, what's coming up, just so you know how to use it. So you're not like me and fumbling around on your phone trying to figure it all out. Um, does anyone have any questions on this section before I move forward?
What kind of, when we're thinking about demographics, what kind of demographic pertains to what sort of social media? Like, what would you say would be the best for reaching a particular sort of demographic?
That's a great question. Thank you. I think it's really going to depend on your business. Obviously, Instagram and your TikTok, or a little bit of Twitter is going to be on your younger ends. Probably the majority of the people on there are going to be 30 years old and lower. So a lot of times it's a little bit trickier for some of the businesses, I know some of the business owners in this webinar to reach. They're not too concerned with that age demographic because typically they're not homeowners or they're not in a business or trying to grow a business. So I would say that Facebook would be the best social media platform to get started on if you were starting from scratch. It's also one of the easier social media platforms to really increase engagement pretty fast. With like your Instagram and your TikTok and your Twitter, you kind of have to wait and just post and wait for people to engage with you before you can start reaching out to them. With Facebook, it's a little bit different because alluded to it earlier, you can jump into Facebook groups, explain your business and your value proposition. You can host Q&A sessions. You have a little bit more opportunity to reach a wider audience really quickly. And for most business owners at Growth Marketing Media, we deal with a lot of those businesses are targeting an older demographic comparative to your Instagram and your TikTok. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Does anyone have anything else? If not, I'll continue to move on. Sounds good. So here are a few examples of some social media content that I found on Facebook and Instagram that I think did a really good job. In your upper right hand side, we have an Instagram account, Pack My Load. They have really short but informative section about what their business is and what they do, a link to their website. And I also really enjoyed how their logo is clean, centered, and it looks good. It looks professional. Another thing that they did really well, and it's not as important, but if you have the time to do it, it'd be great. These circles right here are called highlights, and they have images that direct to the videos that are hosted in there. If you have Instagram, you're probably somewhat familiar with how this function works. If not, essentially you can post little stories to your profile and then you can save them and organize them in these sections. And I think it was just a nice little touch that they have, you know, office moves, home moves, testimonials, locations, just some good sections where if, let's say, a potential customer lands on their page, they can kind of see what the moving process has looked like in the past. Right below there, we have an Instagram feed for a roofing company. I think they're out of Denver. Yeah, because they have a 303. But what I enjoyed most about their feed is you can tell that their color scheme is pretty congruent with one another. They've got quality photos and information on there. I talked about it earlier, but their brand voice is pretty consistent. You're getting all the information you need and then a contact us at the bottom. That right there, easy to do, converts really well, and something that I would implore most business owners to try to do something like this. The one caveat is the design element to this. It is easy to do if you spend the time to learn how to do it. You just need a Canva account, but at the end of the day, um, either doing this yourself or finding someone on your team that has a creative element that can do this would really go a long way. I think that out of all these examples here, I like this grid right here the best. I think that does an amazing job of optimizing content and getting across information that potential customers would really gravitate towards. Leaning over to Facebook, we have an example from King Electric right here. What I really like, again, is they have their logo nice and crisp there in their profile. Their banner image is just the team looking good. Great setup right there. Right below here, we have their feed as well. This style is going to be a little bit more simple than this roofing company right here, this King Electric example. This would be spending 30 minutes to create, just because they have a lot of these same designs right here, but it's also different information. And once you get a template for that going, it's really easy to pop those out, and you don't have to spend too much time trying to create each individual graphic. But as you can see, like, need retail or finishing service, are you need of an electrical service, just quick little snippets of what they do and what they offer. They also have a lot of testimonials, something I referred to earlier in this webinar, how a lot of people make a purchasing decision on how reviews are online. And if you're putting those good ones right out the start, posting them often, people are going to see that and be like, oh, people in the past have had a good experience with this business. Therefore, that person is going to be more likely to call you, pick up the phone, and become a lead. One more example on Facebook that I thought was pretty good, and another pretty basic thing. If you just go to Canva, they have dozens of templates that you can use, and you would just essentially change the words, change the background photo, throw your logo on, you're good to go. But up here was kind of what I thought to be the really great part of this post. With summer approaching, it's important to ensure that your cooling system is ready to handle the heat. Here's a checklist to get you started, and just a checklist of how to check your HVAC units and make sure that it's operating properly before the warm summer months hit. What I really liked about this post is that it's offering a value to the customer. So let's say at my house, my HVAC unit, summer's coming. I want to make sure that it's not going to break on me when it gets really hot and I'm sweating inside. I don't like that. I'm going to use these steps to go check my HVAC. And if it turns out that my HVAC does not pass this checklist, I'm going to think to myself, okay, well, Air Comfort right here gave me this ability to check it myself. I trust and value them, and I'm going to call them and get them to fix it. Just offering that little bit of free value to potential customers and clients goes a very long way. Before I move on from these content examples, is there any questions I can ask? I know there's a lot in this section, so if anyone has questions, please let me know. Sounds good, everybody. I'll move on here. So one of the most important steps is going to be building and engaging your community. What does that really look like? I know we've talked about this in several other slides, but it's a really important part. A few ways that you can do it that are super effective and that we've seen work is to encourage conversation and engagement on your posts. If someone comments, like, let's take example that HVAC post we saw, and someone goes through that checklist, they're like, my HVAC is broken, and they comment, one of the fan blades is bent. What does that mean? Go in there and engage with them. Be like, here's what it means, here's what it could mean, and then of course at the end, be like, drop your phone number in there, give us a call. We'd love to come check it out. Another thing that you can do to build and engage your community is create a Facebook group, something we mentioned earlier. Also, make sure to respond to feedback and reviews. If you get a DM from a potential client or a past client, direct message, and they have a problem, a customer service issue, make sure you get back to them and reply to them timely. That that is the one caveat to social media. Your audience has a direct connection line to you, and they expect it to be immediate. So that can be something that can be difficult to handle. But if you have a customer service team, or if you have your phone on you on the job, just make sure you're going in there and checking it every once in a while to make sure that you're getting back to people. Um, Another really popular form of content and something that I've seen work, and then I know the rest of our team here, Growth Marketing Media, has seen work, is sharing customer success stories. Just to like, for an example, let's keep following on this HVAC example. HVAC is broken. You go out and fix it. Looks great, runs great. They're super happy with it. Ask him if you can take a picture with him. Be like, let's say I helped Todd today fix their HVAC system up and running great. Looking forward to serve the rest of the community during the summer months. Something like that, simple to do, quick snap of a picture, quick little who you served, what you did, and that you're excited to work with more people. And that type of content is really engaging and can really build a community outside of that, because most often than not, an overwhelming majority of the customers and the clients that you have, they are going to have social media accounts themselves, and they'll engage with you on there too. So it's all about building an ecosystem of potential clients and building your audience. Does anyone have any questions before I move forward on this? Sounds good, everybody. We'll keep going. So one of our last steps here is analyzing and optimizing your social media efforts. We talked earlier about setting KPIs. Is that going to be likes, follows, comments, leads that you're tracking, figuring out where clients are coming from? We want to make sure that you're not constantly, but every now and then going back and seeing how you're performing. There are a few social media analytics tools built into apps that you can use, mostly on Facebook. That's a little bit more of an advanced set that you can look at. It's not necessary to run a social media campaign at a simple level. You don't need to worry about it, but there are tools out there that are super helpful that will show you the age range of people engaging with your posts, where they're from, what city they're in, what time they're engaging with you. So there's some super powerful tools, but I wouldn't say that they're crucial to getting a social media campaign off the ground. Same with audience insights. That's going to be on Instagram. That's going to be a little bit more simple. You'll see it on your post. If you're on your own profile, it'll be a blue button. You can click on it. It'll give you a rough estimate of who your audience is. Test new ideas when you get the opportunity to. If you're seeing something from some accounts that you follow that you think can work well for your business, give it a go. Just a great way of optimizing your own social media campaign is seeing what's working well outside your industry or inside your industry, and seeing how you can use that in your own campaign. Yeah, just monitor your competitors too. That's another great strategy to make sure that you're following the current social media trend. Trend is going to be a buzzword that you'll hear a lot when you get into the social media marketing side of things, but always make sure that you are following the trend of things. That's just going to boost your engagement and your just overall social media account on social media because of the way those algorithms work. And yeah, just to round this out, regular review and adapt your strategy. It's just important, just like in anything, look at what you're doing right now. Is there any way that I can improve it that I haven't thought about? And adapt also, because things change pretty fast on social media, just like everything. And just maybe a little bit longer than 5 years ago, having a website wasn't something that was super important to have, but now it is. If you're a business and you don't have a website, you're putting yourself at a major disadvantage. And right now, that's social media. So regularly review and adapt your social media strategy, and just be ready to be on your feet. Does anyone have any questions about this section before I move forward?
If you have a limited amount of resources, is it better to do more of a scatter shot, try to get all of the social media accounts that you can on every sort of platform, or to focus in on the platforms that you've seen the most engagement and insights from?
If you are limited on your time resources and obviously effort resources, I would prefer that you would focus on the social media platform that you're seeing most engagement with. It's kind of like a snowball effect. So let's say you're on Facebook, you're getting good engagement there. I would continue to move forward with that. Put more of your effort into the one that's working. And then when you get an opportunity, of course, it's great to have a social media profile for all the major ones. But at the end of the day, keeping it simple is the best practice moving forward. So I would say that keep it to that one that's working for you in the present and seeing how you can improve upon that. I think I just heard a question come through, so I'm gonna close out of this real quick and make sure that I'm getting everyone answered. Oh, how many times should I post every week? That's a great question, Lorenzo. That really, it's going to depend on how much time that you have. I am on the side more the better. I really, but to an extent, you don't want to overload people. I wouldn't post more than once a day. I really think at minimum once a week. Best case, if you have the time and the effort for it twice a week. I think for most businesses, that is a good starting point right there. And then you can build off of that. You can kind of see, oh, if I post 2 times a week, I'm not getting as much engagement if I only post 1 time a week. So kind of a feeling out process. But to start, I would go 1 post a week minimum, and then 2 posts a week would be optimal, and then adjust from there. Awesome. We're nearing the end of the webinar here, so at the end I'll open it up for other questions, but I'm going to get moving forward on this side of things. But yeah, it's at the end of this, the main thing here is it's just time to take action. At the beginning there, I really expressed to you how many people have a social media account, how many people weigh social media and reviews and deciding if there's a business that they want to go with. But all in all, if I could leave you with one thing moving forward, if you decide you want to create a social media strategy, it's really going to be keep it simple and just give it a little bit of time to figure out. It's not something like SEO or web development where you're going to want to outsource it to an agency. It's one of those things where if you can take the time, if there's a team member that can take the time, put in a little bit of effort, making a post 1 to 2 times a week is something that I feel that most businesses can do. I'm more than willing, and I will share this webinar so you can go back and kind of check on what we talked about and reference it moving forward. But if there's any questions that you have, our contact information is here at the bottom, or we are on social media also, so feel free to send us a message on there. But before we wrap this up, I kind of want to open the floor to any general questions that anyone might have that I can kind of touch on before we close out for the day. Sounds good, everybody. Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to listen to this webinar and learn a little bit about social media. I will send out an emailed copy of this presentation, and we'll probably get this webinar up live, posted somewhere in the coming weeks. But again, really appreciate you all taking the time and learning a little bit about social media. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll catch you all later.
Thanks, Jack. Well done.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you. Dan, you have a good one. Nice. I'm going to